Hello everybody and welcome to video editing, narrative film editing, week 4, transitions and picture lock. This is a really exciting time when we've gone from the assembly to rough cut to fine cut, and now we are here. We are going to picture lock our sequence and then look at some of the other little nuances that we might want to take into account as we prepare for this final rendering and just to look at every technical aspect too, now that we're going to be wrapping up that creative aspect of editing. So it's really exciting. So once again, my name is Tom Strnad. I'm the lead digital artist of the Creator Space. Thanks for joining us. We have completed this first masterclass journey as we're here now in week 4. And please join us for these upcoming workshops in color grading. We're going to have some more masterclass editing sessions in the weeks to follow too. So please check out our website, tbmcs.ca, and you can follow us through our Eventbrite as well, where you can get access to these workshops. So they're totally free, and in the coming months and weeks, feel free to get into the libraries too, and you can access the digital arts computers, the iMacs that have DaVinci Resolve, and they will all have DaVinci Resolve Studio coming up now as we do some additional upgrades. So all of them will have the full studio versions, and there's more on that to come as well. So please keep in touch, and we'll be posting more about that soon. So just want to thank all our partners in this project for making this happen. We have the Canada Council for the Arts, we have the Blue Mountains Public Library, we have the Collingwood Public Library, and we have the Wasaga Beach Public Library. So it's again, really cool time that we've been able to go from these different stages, and so let's just look at what we'll talk about today. So we're going to look at how do we go from fine cut to picture lock. We're going to do a bit of we're going to look at reviewing pace and tempo to make sure we're happy with how that structure works, and we'll be looking at reviewing reactions, emotions, and silent moments. So that whole cutting to the other characters' reactions and things like that. Adding transitions, we'll look at some of the main basic transitions and how we can do those in Resolve. They're really simple, straightforward, and real easy to access a lot of those effects and digital transition type tools in Resolve. It's nice and easy to use. Resizing frames. Now this is really great because in editing we might say, hey, we want to be a little bit closer to the character. And generally with HD and even especially with 4K, HD we can punch in, I say usually about 20% of the frame, and there isn't too much image loss in terms of the quality, so that's always good. You can kind of reframe things, so we'll talk about more what that means. Then we'll look at do a bit of a demo, going fine cut to picture lock, and exporting the sequence using the delivery mechanism. We talked about that I think earlier, but I'll just go over that one more time. So once it's kind of done, you want people to watch it or to share that or even get an opinion. And that's the fun thing, that we talk a lot about a picture lock, but with digital editing tools, we might picture lock and be kind of ready to present it, get it to the director even. There might still be a few little notes, so and then we'll really work on a couple more things. So it's still kind of like a fine cut. You're trying to do picture lock. There might just be a revision A or B kind of thing, and do a few revisions, and then we get into picture lock, and that concept of picture lock I think is really important and sometimes is lost, but the more you can just say, okay, this is locked, the better off you'll be, because as you go into moving on with it, when it goes to like color grading, sound editing, and all that, if you change frames, change shots, everyone has to do that, right? So if you're doing it all yourself, that's fine, but if you're just editing and then someone else is doing everything else, you really want to make sure that picture lock is final. And it's a struggle of a discipline to achieve. But I really like to try to lock that picture and not do any more changes. If anything, very minor changes where it really doesn't affect the other aspects of color grading and sound. So just like the statement says, picture lock, you really are trying to picture lock. And to that point. And then maybe you're revisiting the whole film in the future, like we talked about before, like Francis Ford Coppola doing re-releases of films from 30, 40 years ago. And that's fine. But for the moment, you really want to look at being picture locked. Okay. So here's kind of an overview of what we mean when we go fine cut to picture lock. So some of our goals from PictureLock is to take the fine cut and add or do the following. So we want to ensure the best takes and performances for the film are used. That includes different takes, lines within a shot and so on, as we demonstrated last session. We want to do a final check on matching action. Does everything match correctly? Am I, moving my hand and then the next shot continues that, or am I moving my hand and then I cut to moving the hand again? So that matching action, we want it to be really fluid and smooth and not appear off. And sometimes we'll just roll frames, and we'll look at that, how we can just roll like frames a little bit and help improve maybe the spot where it cuts. And that little fine tuning, sometimes a frame or two, just makes it smoother. And it's a trial and error thing. Sometimes, you don't know until you try, and you'll get more and more used to it. The more editing you do that, you'll start to see where that really works well and how that applied itself. Then we want to do, all possible necessary reactions are being used to help the story. So that's really, again, a kind of a checklist that you've used every possible reaction. The overall tempo is correct and flows well. So that's, does the pace seem good? Like, does the story work in the pace and the way it's being told? Does it entertain? Does it engage? If it's off-putting or something's bizarre, unless that's really your intention, you might want to look at that. If there's some sort of a off flow, you really want it to be flowing and smooth and engaging. And at the end, we're still trying to entertain, no matter what the subject matter is. That there should still be something of engagement, and people will want to watch what you've cut. Number 5, remove any glitches in audio or video. So we talked about that last time, but that's kind of a continuing thing where you might see the odd glitch here or there. You might need to replace different words. That can happen too. And then the last thing here, and we'll look at that today, is do transitions or resizing of the frames if necessary. So that could be, again, just to fix things. There could be an edge of a coffee mug in the frame, and you just want to zoom in a little bit to fix that. So that's a real a great tool to be able to do. Okay, so pace and tempo. What are we looking at? We'll talk through this quickly, and then we'll get right into our demoing. So for PictureLock, really watching it multiple times, and how many times. It's hard to say exactly how many, but I guess there could be a point where you overdo it, but once you know that it feels right, and that feeling is something that you'll gain more with experience, but the feeling should really make sure that the sequence isn't rushed and it's not too slow. So, again, being too fast or too slow in that time in terms of pace and tempo. And your gut feeling is most likely correct. So if you feel something's really slow at some point, that's probably the case. And we started looking at that in our fine cut last week with our opening here to cut into the character sitting down sooner, so we didn't just stay on the wide shot. And I felt like that was taking a bit too long, so that helps speed things up. And sometimes you might speed things up too much, and that's where getting that other opinion, sending it to, if you're working with a director, sending it to other people to watch. They might say, hey, you know what, that feels really too fast, like I didn't really understand what was happening. Then you need to slow it down again, right? So, and again, you'll get these kind of natural instincts and understanding to be able to self-analyze your sequence and to really determine if it's working or not. And then anytime you do want to change things, if you want to say, okay, I want to try with this pace or tempo a bit more, then we want you to duplicate the timeline, try adjusting those spots and see if it helps and improves it. And again, the key there is to duplicate the timeline, because you might realize that what you have is actually quite, it works well. It is actually the best pace and tempo. But you might be like, oh, I just want to try it. What if I speed it up a little bit? So duplicate the timeline, then at least you have that alternative version that you work on. But you never want to just destroy what you've already worked on if you think it's in the right stage. And then at the end here, once everything feels right, your pace and tempo, you're ready to lock that aspect. So you don't have to look at that part of it anymore, pace and tempo. Now everything's related, so sometimes if you change the pace and you add a few more reaction shots, that's changing the pace. So in the next part we look at reactions, and maybe you're like, oh, I want to add 2 or 3 more reactions. That could change the pace. Then you have to go back and look at it for the pace. Ultimately, harmoniously, you want to look at the whole thing as a cohesive whole and how that works and what it's doing, and that will be Again, with experience, you'll get into watching all of these at once. It's not really like a one pass, another pass, right? So these are kind of things that could be simultaneous reviews and overviews. So reactions, emotions, silent moments. Here's the thing, the guideline. Are the reactions, emotions shown by the characters effective? Are these helping tell the story? Are they obtrusive? Are they, anything that's unnecessary? Again, duplicate the timeline. Don't just, destroy what you've already done. Duplicate the timeline that you think is like, the PictureLock timeline. Make a copy. Try removing some of those reactions or shortening them. See if things get improved. And then final kind of guideline, once you can justify the use of every reaction and moment of emotional look, smiles, head moves, you really know you're ready to lock the cut. So that's again the thing there. Once you go, okay, I this makes sense. Like I have him looking there, I have him smiling because of this, I have her nodding her head because of this, I have her looking away because she doesn't like what he said. So all of those are justifying those reactions. If something's just there for like, oh, I can just put that in there, that's unnecessary. And so always ask yourself, is it helping? And if something's not helping, but you really still want a reaction there, maybe you need to find a different reaction to put in there if it's not really helping the story. So adding transitions. So we have three main types, and we'll demo these right away. Three basic transitions for editing. So we have the dissolve. The one shot fades out as the second shot fades in, with the middle being a 50-50 blend of both shots. And that's used to show the passage of time. Then we have fades, a fade in, can start a scene, fade out, can end a scene. Dip to color, that can be used as a quick transition within a scene. So you're just going to a flashback or flash forward. And those are the three main quick transition tools that you'll find in Resolve and most any non-linear editing software. So like Avid, Premiere, any of those, same idea. Dissolves, fades, dip to color. That's kind of your main palette, kind of like your ABC of transitions. And then the question is, know why you're adding or using these, since each one, as I mentioned here, creates a different meaning. Most of it, the meaning is really temporal if you look at it. So the temporal change of dissolve means usually there's time pass between the two. Fade in, fade out, again, usually there's some sort of a time pass or it could be a short time passing along. And dip to color, again, if it's a dip to white, that can often be something like a flashback or a flash forward. So, know why you're using them. Just putting them in because they're cool, why, right? Like, so if it's just for cool sake, that's probably not really helping your story. And that's, again, we're at the, our guideline, our focus is how do we help tell our story and, make that as good as possible and achieve that storytelling essence. Okay, so let's get into that. I'm just gonna switch over here. So let me just escape out of here. Let's get our sequence up. Okay, so here we go. So here's our resolve sequence. So, what I have here is just the whole timeline. This is the fine cut one. What I'm gonna do right away is go to my cuts here. So we have fine cut one, and I think it's just the hard drive just got to speed up here. It went to sleep here for a sec. Okay, good. Hard drive is back up. Excellent. Okay, so I'm gonna right click here and duplicate timeline. Okay, I got fine cut one copy, right? So I'm gonna go fine cut two, let's just say for now. I'm gonna double click that, making sure that now I'm on fine cut two, and you'll always see the what it is up here, the name of it, fine cut two. Let's just get that focus over there a little bit. There we go. Okay, so that's the fine cut two. It says right up there. So you always want to make sure that you're actually working in fine cut two. Otherwise, it's easy to just be, still working in fine cut one. Okay, so there's a few ways we can do transition. So I'm just going to zoom in here. So we have these little things on the top. So, and these are like, I call them in timeline transition. So we're not actually adding an effect, but we're just adding like an in timeline quick keyframe. And you can drag these and it tells you how long. So right now, let's say that's 1 second. So 24 frames in this case. So look what I've done. I've actually made now a fade from black. within the timeline, just like that. And we can do this for our audio too. So it's a great way to just do like little quick fades and stuff. So we can have the scene fade in, right? And that's already, I think that's kind of a cool way to start the scene because, there's some stuff's happened before and, we're kind of looking at what that means. Right, so that fade in, great way to start it. I really like that because now we're kind of like, okay, something's happened before and it gives us some time. We're establishing where we are. I kind of like this, staying on this. And there we go. Okay, so that's one way to do that. All right, and now what we can do too is, let's go, I'm just gonna just bring this piece down here. And okay, and then what we can do, we can do like dips. So we can just do the same thing where we do like a fade out and a fade in. Right, so that could be, if we're trying to show a little bit of a passage of time, that could be an effect there. So maybe he's like, imagine if he's standing there for a while and looking around and we want to be like, okay, this took him a bit of time. And maybe we're trying to show his state of, memory loss or dementia. And how do we do that? So we could do that. We could use these kinds of dip to colors. Right, so that's in timeline. So now let's look at another way. So I just did to get rid of that, I'm just doing Command Z. I just go Command Z, and it undoes what I just did there. So that's a quick way to undo. That's always your friend in pretty much all the software on Macs. And now I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to go to Video Transitions, and you'll see there's a bunch of things, and there's like a additive dissolve. Cross dissolve is kind of our main one. Dip to color dissolve is what we just did. So let's look at if I drag this over. So this is how we can make a transition. I'm going to just drag it over here. And then I'm able to actually make it bigger or smaller by clicking on it. And it's going to tell me what it's doing. So now it's going to do a dip to color. So a dip to black like that. Now if I click on this and I go up here on the transition window, so see up here, there's kind of like all this little transition side up here. So I have the effect down here. I'm going to go up to the transition right there. And in the transition, I can click on color and I can change the color. So I can make it a dip to white, for example. I can make it a dip to red. So let's just go back to a dip to white. I'm going to hit OK. And now that's going to be a dip to white. So again, that could be a way to do like a flashback or a flash forward, right? And if I just click on this, it's highlighting that, and I can just hit delete on the keyboard. So I'm just going to hit the delete button there, and it's going to wipe it out. Just gets rid of the transition. Not the shot, but the actual transition shows up. And now I'm going to show, let's do a cross dissolve between these two. So again, it's just going to go right in the middle there like that, and here's a dissolve. Right, so, there's always there's always this saying that goes, if you can't solve it, dissolve it. And it, sure, it does make everything smooth, but again, we're creating this concept of time passing by using a dissolve. So we might have solved maybe something that we don't like in terms of not being the smoothest cut or something like that, but we're making this timeline look like it's, some time's passed. So again, not really a necessary transition here, but I just wanted to show you guys if you're looking to add a cross dissolve, that's where you do it. So you're just finding, it's right up here, video transitions, and you can find all these quick transitions, quick tools. But generally I'm just doing like a fade in, fade out at the scene, end of the scene. So let's go to the end here and we can look at that too. And maybe, just to kind of end the scene, we'll do a fade out too.
Oh, wow. I'd better go help him.
Right, that kind of fades the scene. So that's nice. That works. Okay, so we've achieved that. Those are our main transitions. So I just wanted to get a fade in, a fade out. I think that's pretty nice. So now I'm going to duplicate again. So right click on the Fine Cut 2, duplicate, and I'm going to create Fine Cut 3. So we're going to keep calling them Fine Cuts until we're really sure we're going to PictureLock. So now what we're going to do is let's watch where we are right now with the sequence. And then we can determine what course of action we want to take, and what changes we may or may not want to still do. So here, let's. I'm just going to go to the viewer mode, cinema viewer, so you guys can see the whole thing. And let's do that.
Excuse me. Hi, I'm Barb. I noticed you're having a little bit of trouble with your computer. Just let me know if you need a hand. I'll be happy to help.
Oh, thank you. As you can tell, I am struggling a little bit here. And making a little bit of noise, aren't I? Oh, my name's Jeffrey Lincoln.
Nice to meet you. And you are no bother at all. You know, your name sounds really familiar. Didn't you used to teach a creative writing class at U of T? And you have several best-selling fiction novels.
Yes. How kind of you to mention that. Yes, I taught for 25 plus years at U of T. Oh, I've been retired for a few years now, though. I have great memories of those wonderful years.
Wow. My sister Diane took one of your classes. She used to tell the most amazing stories about her professor and the things he taught her. You know, if it wasn't for you, she wouldn't have gone on with the program. Because of you, she's no quitter today. I can't wait to tell her I actually met you. Enough of my gushing. Please go on with what you were doing. Nice to meet you, though.
Yes, likewise. And say hi to Diane for me. Well, listen, it's been so nice to meet you, Bev. Well, you have a great evening. Cheers.
Oh, wow. I'd better go help him.
Okay, so yeah, that's working well. I think now, what we're going to want to do is there's a couple spots I found that okay, a couple reactions that maybe I think we held on too long, and I'm thinking at the end when she looks up, I'm going to see if we can maybe go to something to see her point of view. So when she's looking like, oh, I better help him, maybe we can see because I think we have a shot of him like walking by the library desk, like he's kind of going in a circle. So we'll try that. A couple things we're going to try. But yeah, I like how we started out, and that's the whole thing, just analyzing. I like how we started out, figuring out, that opening there, it was nice. And then I think there's a couple reactions where, to me, it felt like we held on him a bit too long. And I wanted to see her. I felt like there's a couple little bit of there, and then just at the end when he's getting up, I think there's a little bit of our match on actions imperfect, right? So this is what you want to do. You want to be able to watch through like your fine cut and go, okay, there's 2 or 3 points that you want to address and look at, and then you're in a pretty good state if you're looking at 2 or 3 spots in the overall sequence that you're looking to affect versus the whole sequence you're still reworking. Then you're not really ready to go to the picture lock. But if right now there's just a few little spots I want to look at, fine tune them, and then I think we can say, okay, we're going to picture lock, and then we'll also look at some reframing that not necessarily that we need it for this particular sequence, but in case you ever needed to do reframing, how how that works and what the way forward would be to achieve that. Okay, so let's look at the sequence here. We'll just play it, and then we'll just kind of start, stop, and see what what's working or not working. So I'm just gonna get into like him sitting here. So that's looking pretty good. And you know, if we go, I like to just kind of go frame by frame. So frame by frame, I'm just using the arrow keys on the keyboard. And it's great because that way you can go, you know, either left or right to go left or right on the timeline. And you know, I'm gonna just use this this special key right here, and we're just gonna, oops, the wrong one there. I'm just gonna hit Shift, and what we're gonna do is just, I think we're gonna just get rid of a couple frames there. Okay, that looks pretty good to me now. I like that. So you know, again, just he's putting the jacket on. That looks pretty smooth. So there really isn't that extra. That looks nice and smooth now. Okay, so we'll keep that. And I think we'll just hold on this reaction up here. So I'm just gonna click on that. And again, I'm just gonna use the arrow key here just to add some extra frames. So I'm just gonna, let's say like 4 or 5 frames, just to get like his eyes looking up like that. So you can see just the eyes going up. And here we just want to look again. That's pretty good. So his head's up and then it's going down. So that's nice. Okay, and let's see about just adding a couple frames here. I'm going to take off 2 frames from the reaction.
Excuse me. Hi, I'm Barb. I'm Barb.
So here, this is kind of interesting. He's already, it looks like he's already kind of sitting in this close up, and here he's standing. So, so let's see if we can, so I'm going to hit Alt on the keyboard. So just Alt to just select the video only to trim. Alt, just the top there. And let's see if we take off a few frames so we don't see his shoulder.
Hi, I'm Barb. Hi, I'm Barb. Hi, I'm Barb.
See, that's pretty cool. So now we don't see that, you know, where she is. So we're just going to add a little bit of her.
Hi, I'm Barb. Hi, I'm Barb. I notice you're having a little bit of trouble with your computer. Just let me. I notice you're having a little bit of trouble with your computer.
Another thing is, you know, do we want to maybe see him turn back?
I notice you're having a little bit of trouble with your computer. Just let me know if you need a hand. I'll be happy to.
And I feel like we can hold on her a little bit longer there too. So let's just.
With your computer. Just let me know if you need a hand. I'll be happy to help.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, and I'm just going to hit Alt, and I'm just going to see about trimming in.
Oh, thank you.
And here I'm just going to do a little bit of a fade in on the audio. And that's how we can smooth in sometimes there are little gaps there.
To help.
Oh, thank you. As you can tell, I am struggling a little bit here. And making a little bit of noise, aren't I? Oh, my name's Jeffrey Lincoln.
Nice to meet you. And you are no bother at all. You know, your name sounds really familiar. Didn't you used to teach a creative writing class at U of T? And you have several best-selling fiction novel.
I really like that reaction there where he's confused that she's asking him about, hey, isn't it what you used to do?
Creative writing class at U of T, and you have several best-selling fiction novels.
Yes. How kind of you to mention that. Yes, I taught for 25 plus years at U. Kind of you to mention that. Yes, I taught for 25 plus years at U of T. Oh, I've been retired for a few years now, though. Ah, I have great memories of those wonderful years.
And we're just going to get back to her a bit earlier. So I'm just adding some there.
Yes, I taught for 25 plus years at U of T. Oh, I've been retired for a few years now, though. Ah, I have great memories of those wonderful years.
I'm just going to hold on her again just to keep the pace there.
Those wonderful years.
Wow. My sister died.
Those wonderful years.
Wow. My sister Diane took one of your classes.
And I'm thinking we want to get back to her at some point here a bit earlier.
Diane took one of your classes. She used to tell the
See, now we kind of got that. I like that where he kind of goes like, oh, and then she does that too. So they really match their reactions there. So let's have a look at that.
Wow. My sister Diane took one of your classes. She used to tell the most amazing stories about her professor and the things he taught her. You know,
And there, I think I kind of want to get out of that a bit sooner. I like his like,
stories about her professor and the things he taught her.
and I think right up to that. So I'm just gonna, pause it there with the space bar, and I'm just gonna roll back.
He taught her, you know, if it wasn't for you, she wouldn't have gone on with the program.
And now I'm just going to click on that, and I'm going to just, on the keyboard, I'm going to use this. And I can use these two, the period and the comma, to move the whole clip left or right. So that lets me take that clip by clicking on it, and I can move it to the left or right, which is really fantastic. So let's do that. I'm just going to move it over a few frames. I have six frames there.
If it wasn't for you, she would.
And now I want to add a little bit to the head of that so that
If it wasn't for you,
okay, and we're going to just delay him again a little bit.
if it wasn't for you, she wouldn't have gone on with the program. Because of
And then we'll get back to her again, where he's just kind of,
the program. Because of you, she's no quitter.
and here it's almost like the moment where he's kind of forgetting again, like where this conversation's at.
She wouldn't have gone on with the program. Because of you, she's no quitter today. I can't wait to tell her I actually met you. Enough of my gushing. Please. Tell her I actually met you. Enough of my. I can't wait to tell her I actually met you. Enough of my gushing. Please go on with what you were doing. Nice to meet you, though.
Yes, likewise.
Okay, and then let's just, I'm going to hit Alt, and I'm just going to drag this a bit closer there.
Please go on with what you were doing. Nice to meet you, though.
Yes, likewise. And say hi to Diane for me.
Okay, and then here, this is that spot where I thought we kind of duplicated. Where it just looks, and again, I'm just going to use the arrow keys there on the keyboard right down here just to see about going back and forth. I just want to see what that looks like. Yeah, see, I think we can go from here where he's standing up to more about like here. So we're going to trim a bunch off. So I'm just going to select these two up here, and let's just get us to that section there. Okay.
Well, listen,
That's pretty good. So yeah, just got rid of 3 frames there off the head of this shot right here. Just getting rid of a few, and by engaging both of those, I click on the left, on the right side there, and I just do a few of the frames right here, just with the comma and periods. I'm just trimming off the right side, and now let's have a look at that.
well, listen, it's been so nice to meet you, Bev. Well, you have a great evening. Cheers. Nice to meet you, Bev.
And I think I want to get to her a bit sooner.
Nice to meet you, Bev. It's been so nice to meet you, Bev.
And I like that reaction there. So we don't want her looking up again, because she's already looking at him.
Nice to meet you, Bev. Well, you have a great evening.
Okay, and I'm just going to, with my mouse, I'm just going to select those all, and now I'm going to just use the keyboard. I'm just going to trim that whole section. I'm going to move it, so I'm just going to slide it over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Well, you have a great evening. Nice to meet you, Bev. Well, you have a great evening. Cheers.
Okay, just 4 more over.
Well, you have a great evening. Cheers.
And now here, this is where I'm thinking I want to just see if we can put a bit of a shot of like, what is she looking at? Because, you know, that kind of look, and we want to cut to the look, is always a nice way to do it. So let's see if we can maybe perhaps use some of... Maybe that part there where he's just leaving, because it looks like he's going in the right direction. So from screen right to screen left. Okay, and so all I'm going to do is have a mark an in point right here on the sequence. I have the video 1 selected there, and I'm going to just overwrite it on top.
Oh, wow. I'd better go help him.
Okay, and I'm just going to do the razor tool here, and we're going to just click on this part down here, and again, just using these, the comma and period, the period to move it right. We're just going to move that over a little bit. And then we're going to just look at seeing when she's looking up, I think that's 4B here. Going to see the other take. So that one she gets a little bit out of focus when she's standing up. That's kind of nice. So I just kind of want to go back to her before we get to the wide.
Oh, wow.
Oops. Okay, so just have that reaction. Hold on that.
Oh, wow. I'd better go help him.
Okay, so that's pretty cool. So now you can see how we got...
Oh, wow. I'd better go help him.
And we'll get right, I'm just sliding that over underneath there.
Wow. Oh.
And we just want to make sure she's not talking.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow, I better, oh, wow.
So now I'm just looking at, making sure that, where she is in by the desk and in the wide, she's kind of hasn't jumped across. So I'm just adding a few more frames to that wide shot.
Oh, oh, wow, I better go help. Oh,
So that's pretty cool. I think I'm pretty happy with that, how that stands. Now here's a great shot that we're going to use actually to demonstrate our resizing. So watch when I go back here. You're going to see right here on the top left middle, there's actually a light from the shot in the frame. So I'm going to click on this, and right up here under transform, I'm able to zoom in, and it has a link, so it's scaling symmetrically the X and Y axis. And let's just, if we drag that, so I'm just going to put my mouse on top here. I'm just going to see if I just drag it. I go to 110%. And then I can also position it so that I can move the X and Y now that we've zoomed in. And see, I can just get rid of that light. See, now we don't see the light. So just by using those in the transform section right here, we're able to quickly zoom in on things and transition out of them and make it work. So that's really fantastic. So okay. So if we're happy with that, so I would normally like watch this over a few more times and kind of see where everything's at. But just in the interest of time, we'll say, okay, that's great. And I'm going to go to cuts. And now what we want to do is duplicate it again, because we might, still have some changes, but we'll say, okay. And I'm going to say, look, that's my PictureLock. So this is the exciting part where you get to type in PictureLock. So just in the cuts bin, I've made a duplicate, right click, duplicate timeline. And I'm going to call it PictureLock. Now we're going to double click that, and that is our PictureLock. And that's really exciting news. And I'm just going to have an endpoint there. And there's also on the keyboard, there's this great thing. You can go Alt I and Alt O. It clears the in and out points directly on your timeline. So we don't need any in or out points. Now, how do I deliver this? So I'm going to go to the bottom here, click on this rocket ship deliver. I'm going to just go to quick preset. I'm just going to use like this Vimeo preset. You go to browse, and here's we do care, rough cut 1. And now we're going to go, we do care PictureLock. And we can put, today's date, which is the 22nd, April 22nd, 2021. Save. And then we just click add to render queue. And it's going to render out our whole sequence. So I'm just going to hit render 1. And there we go. And it's going to show you as it renders. You'll see it like rendering out, 10%, 12%. And then once it's rendered, we have a fully viewable film. So that file, it's a QuickTime H.264 codec. It's not going to be too big, maybe 60 megs or so. That can be shared. So you can then send that to the director, you can send it out, you can post it. It's a totally shareable file. We didn't do a lot in the audio side because in picture editing, we're not going to worry about the audio side. But we will be worrying about that when we get into sound editing. And that's going to be a future masterclass. So I really hope you guys can join me for that one as well, where we're going to go through the dialogue editing of and sound editing in general, and we'll take the same sequence. So we'll keep going on in our journey of post-production. So that's it. It took 50 seconds to render out, totally rendered out. Sequence, I'm going to just go Command H to hide DaVinci Resolve. I'm going to go to TMCS Masterclass under Cuts, and here it is. So 208 megabytes. I'll double click on that. Shows up as a QuickTime file, and I can then totally play that back.
I noticed you're
Right, so we got everything playing and everything's great. So that's it. That's basically our whole all our final editing. We've picture locked, we've rendered it out, and we're here. We've done it. So that's resizing frames again. So zooming in on that transform, you just zoom in. Picture lock edit. We did that. We achieved that. We exported the sequence. Fantastic. We looked at reactions. We made sure everything's matching, and we're happy with it. And that's it. So if anyone has any Q&A, we can have a little bit of time here. And in general, just really want to thank everyone for joining us and being part of this first master class that we're doing here for editing. And like I said, we're going to get into sound editing and taking the same project. So definitely join us for that. We have a color grading workshop coming up if you haven't signed up for that yet. So we'll be going through the whole color grading process using Resolve and using this sequence and some other sequence demo sequences to work with. And again, really want to thank everyone for joining us. So, again, you can email me. I put my email up before, tom@tbmcs.ca. If you're working along on this sequence too, send me your cut. Now know how to do the delivery. Send it over to me, and I'd be happy to watch it, give you feedback. If you're stuck with anything, shoot me an email. Questions about the software, happy to help and advise in any way we can. Again, coming up soon, we'll have those DaVinci Resolve full studio versions available in the libraries. We have the iMac computers also coming soon to the Collingwood Public Library. So all 3 library partners will have digital arts computer workstations, the iMacs, where you can go in and edit, book some time and edit there. So that's all coming up soon. So again, thanks everyone for joining us. Want to thank all our partners in this project, Canada Council for the Arts, and then we have our library partners, the Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, and the Wasaga Beach Public Library. Thanks again. Enjoy editing, have fun, try some stuff out, get to the PictureLock, and join us for the next sessions. Have a great rest of the day. Take care.